All right. Good morning once again.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so I want to believe that we are clear with the last class, which was just on the setting up a framework and server for us to be able to analyze data with SQL, right? Hope that topic is clear, sir. I know you
Yeah,
have
very
been
good.
able to set up your working
My
environment.
workbench.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so this morning or in this section, we'll be looking at a couple of topics. So before that, we have to start by loading that environment. Remember, I said to load the environment, just come to your taskbar and type my SQL, and click on my SQL workbench. That is how you start your development environment, which is going to act in this case as our data analysis framework. All right, so this is the application interface. Then from here, so you must have set up your file, your framework. In our own case, we have set up this scheme as default, so I'm clicking on this. So make sure that you are running yours as well, because at some point, I will ask you to perform some tasks. All right, so this is exactly what you get. Just want to clear all this so that you know how the entire process started. So remember that in our last class, I've explained the framework, which is the workbench interface to us. So I don't want to go into that. So by now, I believe you know what you expected to output here. You know what you are expected to do here. Then you know what all these things represent. And then, of course, one thing that you must not forget is how to switch from the server end to your working end, which is where you have the list of your database, which I mentioned as what schemas. So you have to switch. So you have no business doing anything here. So just go to schemas for you to be able to see the list of your database. So all these are the current lists of the database I have created in my development environment. So your own may not have all this. So though we are starting with that so that you know how all this came about. So you definitely have, depending on how you install it, there is always a default or some default database that usually come with the installation of the workbench and also some default sample data. So, but in case you do not have it, it's still fine. After all, you are going to load in your own data. All right, so now let me start by teaching us how we can create our query environment, You can see that I removed all the ones that I was working with so that we can know how to start it. So to create your query environment, so what is the query environment all about? From the introduction section, I said in SQL, there are certain keywords we need to understand. And one of them that I explained in that section was query. And I said query is requesting the application to perform a task for you. So which means that you need to learn how to write your query statements. That is what will determine what the application will actually do for you. But before that, we need an IDE. That is the language I'm coming from. We need, I've told us before that every programmer needs an interface, one, to write his or her code, depending on the language he or she is using. Two, to deploy those code or to test those code, whether they are giving the expected result. So like here, the way it is now, we don't have it, but the space is here. So how do we bring it? You go to File. So from File, you select what? New query. So you can combine shortcut on your keyboard. That is by simply pressing Control plus what? T. That will give you the what? The query interface. So as you can see here, this is the query interface. Okay, so this is where I'm going to be writing and executing all my SQL query statements. So now that we understand that, the first SQL query statement we are going to write is query statement to create database, because since we are learning this for data analysis, the only thing that we need to do here is to create database. The data set itself that you are going to bring here represents your table. Remember, I was explaining the other time that the way the database is structured is that you have the database and then you need to have tables. Those tables are what will be used to hold the records that will be stored within the database. So our data set is already the table. So we are not going to create table. So what we'll simply do is how to create database. Okay, but before that, let's officially understand what is called SQL query statement, because that is what we are going to start by writing. So by definition, SQL query statement is a command. SQL query statement is a command used to retrieve. So the keywords are used to retrieve. To retrieve means to call back data from certain storage. Used to retrieve, command, manipulate. So it is the manipulation aspects that we are actually,
Hello?
as data analysts. As a
No, I
use,
didn't get it. It was hanging. He said SQL language,
as a SQL
SQL
query,
query statement is a
query
command.
statement is a command used to retrieve, manipulate, or manage data in a relational database management system. Manage data in a relational database management system, which is the Arrow DBMS. So let's explain it further a little. It allows users to specify what data to retrieve. It allows users to specify what data to retrieve. It allows users to specify what data to retrieve. Am I communicating?
Yes, it allows users to specify what data to retrieve.
What data to what? To retrieve.
Retrieve.
Command, how to filter and sort it. We're trying to highlight some of the key functions. Why you should learn this query statement. How to filter and sort it. And what operation to perform on the data. And what operation to
How to fit.
perform.
And
Well,
what?
I said it allows users to specify what
Mhm.
data to retrieve, comma, how to filter and sort it. The sorting here is talking about the order of arranging the data, comma, and what operation to perform on the data, and what operation to perform on the data. So the question we should ask ourselves is that, how is this going to be possible? What will SQL use for this to be possible? That will take us to SQL what? Keyword, right? SQL keywords. So let's have an idea of what are SQL keywords. So by definition, SQL keywords are the inbuilt commands designed to perform different operations. They are the inbuilt command designed to perform different operations. Designed to perform different operations. All right, so I believe at this junction you understand what query statement is. You also know how this is going to be possible, right? Through what? The application of this SQL command, the keyword. That is how this statement will be put together. So let's quickly look at database design or creation in SQL. How to database design or creation in SQL. Now, what is database? Database is simply, remember that we have already talked about it in our last class, but I'm just trying to re-echo it. Database is simply the collection of what? Data in relational what? Tables. Database is simply the collection of data in relational what? Tables. So when we say we want to create database, this SQL is a programming language which is used to create and manage database or data within database. So the first thing is for us to create database. Now, it is that database that we are going to import our data into. So you cannot bring in that data set you want to analyze without what? Having a database. So I'm going to show you two ways you can create the database, because one of the reasons why this application is recommended for us as data analysts, because of its user what? Friendly. And since it's referred to as an app, there are buttons, there are commands. That is, if you don't want to write the query statement to do certain things, there are some buttons that can help you to achieve that. So let me start with using query statements. So database can be created using two methods. The first method I want to teach you is what? Using query statements. So if I'm going to use query statements, how do I create database? So I'll simply come here and type what? Create. So let me use comments. Let me explain something. Just like the way we work with comments in Python and other programming languages, we have comment here. But how do you write comment in SQL? You just simply write two hyphen like this and then space. Once you write two hyphen and space in SQL, that is what? A comment. So now I'll be using comment to title what I'll be performing per time. So what I want to perform now is what? How to create or database creation.
Sure.
Creating database using SQL query statements. So the syntax, I ought to believe you understand what syntax are. That is what the rule, the format. The syntax is you call the create. So create is a keyword. These are inbuilt commands that are designed to perform different operations. So this create is to what? To create database is a keyword. It can be written in capital letter or small letter. So create followed by the name of create database. So you type create database. So create database, the two of them, they are keyword, then followed by the name of your database. What is the name? Let's say what? Sys. So let's say sys underscore sys underscore, let's say data is the name of my database. Then when you are writing query statement in SQL, there is need for you to always end with what? Semi what? Colon. Please, it's very important. If you don't add it, the next line of code will throw error. Now, how do you execute your SQL query statement is the next thing. So we need to know different ways of executing. So it's not just writing. When you finish writing, how do you run it? Because until you run it, nothing will display here. So to run it, there are different ways. We have this one, which says execute the selected portion of the script. Why this one says what? Execute what? Execute the statement under the keyboard cursor, which means that if I have multiple lines of codes here and I want to run only one particular line, I will just ensure that the cursor is blinking on that line. And then if I click here, it is only that line that will be executed. But if I have list of commands that I've written and I want to execute all of them at once, then I will use it. But outside these two, the standard shortcut for it is what? You press Control Enter. So Control Enter across all SQL platforms is for executing your code. Now you can see that there is a reply or a report here which confirm with this that the code was run successfully. I hope you are still with me.
Yes.
Okay, so now we are expected to see the name of this database listed here, just like these other ones. So what you do now, for you to make it to list here, you refresh. See this icon, you refresh. Once you refresh, you will now see the name of your database added. So did you understand that first? Let me be sure that.
Yes.
Okay. So then now that we have created database using the SQL query statement, let us quickly create another one using the application, the Workbench application. If I don't know how to write these statements, to create this database, which other way can now achieve the same thing I just achieved? You can use the app. You can come here and click on this. Create what? Schema. Schema also means database. So if I click on that create schema, and then it will give me a text box. Then from there, I can type the name of that database. Let's say Aguero is the name of the database. So the next thing I'm going to do is to click on apply. And then you can see that what? Next time, this is another syntax you can write to create your database. Like instead of saying create database, you can say what? Create what? Schema. And then you put the name of your database. Then once you click, and then we can now take off this. So let me refresh to see if the name will be added here. The name is here now. So that is how to create database. Any question?
No.
Okay. So the next thing we want to do is how to use database. How to use database. Why that is important. Any code you are writing, you are expected to reference a particular database to be executed on. For example, you can see that out of all these listed database, this is the one that is bolded, which automatically shows that if you write any SQL query statement right now, you are actually performing that under this particular database. But what about if I am asked to perform other operations under sys underscore data? So I have to use it. So let me use comment to explain that. Comment how to use SQL database, how to use SQL database. So the syntax is you simply write what? Use, that is a keyword. So this is how we will be learning this keyword. You write use, followed by the name of the database you want to use, which is what? Says underscore data. So if I run this code now, Control Enter, you can see that what? You have automatically what? Switch from customer to what? This. So right now, we are in sales table. How do I know? If I want to know how many tables are in this database that I am in, because that is the next code you are supposed to write, because those tables represent the data set you want to analyze. So once you are in a database, the next code is how do I view the list of tables under that particular database. So I will know which one of them I want to what? Analyze its data. So that will now take us to how to view database table. How to view database table. So the syntax is what? Show. Show is another keyword. Show tables. There should be S. Show tables. So if I run this command, Control Enter, it will list out what? The name of the list of table. Right now, there is no table. So the moment we bring in our data and we run this code again, we will see the name of that data set. Is that clear, sir?
Yes.
All right. So now the next thing is for us to bring in our data. How do we load in our data sets into this particular table that we are in? Sorry, into this particular database we are in. So you can load in as many as possible what? Data sets into a database. But before that, there is a place where you need to reconfigure. It's very important to configure it. Very important to reconfigure this, because by default, it's possible that your own must have been set to certain limits of record you can load in. So you can set it on what? Do not limit, so that does not take too much time. So I've already programmed mine on what? Do not limit. But if I'm sure that the data set I want to bring in does not exceed any of these, then I can program it, okay, bring in only what? 50,000 what? Record. But the best thing to do is to put it on what? Do not limit. Now, once we have done that, you need to prepare that data to suit the format that can work with SQL. Okay, so you the main two data formats you should ensure that your data set is in should be SQL data format or CSV. So if you are given a Excel file, you need to what? You need to change the format. So let's go and prepare our data first. That's the first thing. Prepare the data to the suitable format, e.g. CSV or SQL format. So let me look at a particular data here. I know, do I have data? Hmm. Hmm. To make sure that you're also getting your data ready, if you have that Amazon data, let's see.
This show table is telling me error message. I don't know why.
Okay, so when I go back there, just remind me so that I'll look into it. Okay, so let me just open one of the data sets and then I'll take time to add
Okay, I know
more.
the reason now. That's
Okay, you have
I
figured
didn't
it
put a
out, right?
semicolon. When I did the use table, I didn't put semicolon at the end.
Okay.
So when I put the next command, it's showing error.
Okay. So let's say I want to load these data sets into that database. So I need to ensure, like I told you, let's make sure that we save it in CSV format. So if your data is in Excel format, then you kindly open it with Excel, and then you go to save as. You choose where you want to save it. So let me just keep it on desktop, and then I will reduce the name. Make sure that the name is not too long. And please, when you are naming your data, make sure that if they exceed one word, make sure you add the underscore. Even the headers that have space in between them, make sure that you reconfigure them to underscore, add underscore, or you mesh them, because SQL do not also tolerate it, just like the way we were experiencing it in Python. So let's just say this is sys data, sys. Then I'll make sure that the format is in CSV. This is currently in Excel worksheet. So I'll click here and change it to this format, and then click. So I have saved a copy of it on desktop. And I am also supposed to open it and check if there are places where I need to edit the headers to ensure that all these are corrected before taking it to. So like this now, I need to, for any reason, I'm going to work with this column. I'm expected to add underscore in between them. Add underscore, but make sure that there's no space before adding the underscore. Make sure that there's no space before adding the underscore. Then this one also, we are going to be working with it. Remove the space first, add the underscore. So that one again, I know we are going to work with. I think that is all.
Is
Then
it the
you
headers that you are changing?
yes, the head, I'm just adding underscore as usual. So let me add it back. So Control S. So once you have make some changes, you need to effect those changes by updating. Press Ctrl S. So now I can close. Now go back to my working environment. So the next thing we want to learn now is for us to know how to import that data set into the table. Mind you, you must have used or selected the database before bringing the table. So you cannot be importing data as your table when you have not used any of the database. Please, let's take note of that. It's very important. That is why we have to get to this point before bringing it in. So now we are in the sys underscore data. So what I'm going to do is that you right click on the tables. These are like default structures that have been programmed once you create a database. So a database automatically inherits this table structure. So you right click on it and then select what? Table data import wizard. So once you click on it, then you click on browse in order for you to select the data. Remember, we kept the data on desktop. So I'll quickly navigate to desktop. I'll quickly navigate to desktop and search for the data set name, which is sys, and then click. And once you click, and then you click on next. Now, when you get to this section, make sure that you do not select this option. So this option is where you have created table in that database, right in the SQL. So which means that you are bringing the data in the initial table and putting them in the what? The existing table. But in this case now, you notice that there is no table here. When we run the code that shows the list of tables in a database, we discover that what? There is no table, which means that you don't have to go with this. Even if you click here, you will not see the list of those existing tables. Now you go with this option, ensure that the name of your file is what is showing here. So peradventure, there is anyone and you want it to overwrite it, then you click on what? Drop. The drop means delete. That is what it means in SQL. So I will just continue, and then it will now display the data headers, the columns, and their respective what data type, which for any reason, if you want to change it, you can change it. Because for what I'm getting here now, you can see that we have double. Double means these are headers with value with decimal units. You should know all that from Python. So I will just click on what next. And then this is telling me what is going to happen once I click on next. That the first thing is going to prepare the import. And then finally, you now finally what import the data. So I'll click on next and observe the entire process to complete before I proceed. I hope you are still following, sir.
Yes, I'm following you. Just that
Okay.
Amazon data that I'm trying to
Okay.
unlock.
Okay, you have it, right? You have the Amazon data.
That is what I'm looking for.
Okay, so now, as you can see here, this has shown that the two processes have been completed. So I will just click on finish. Now the data set, so I'll just refresh. Now I want you to take note of something. The moment you have data in a database, you will see this icon. Initially, this icon wasn't there. What we are having was just what? Tables. So why it updated it now? Because it has detected that what data has just been what added. So how do I now view the data inside this? But before that, let's rerun this code that outputted no table the other time and see whether it will display what the table inside this database. So this is why I was explaining this. This time around, it's not the entire code I want to run. It's just this particular line. So I'll make sure that I'm there and then click here. So you can see that now there is an update that what there is a table. Now, if I want to view the table, this is where you now start learning some other SQL word command. So the next command we want to write now is what? An SQL query statement to view the records in the table, because this particular command is only giving us the name or the list of the table. Now we want to see the entire record in that table. So that will take us to another SQL query statement. And I hope you are documenting this query statement, because these are the statements that you are expected to know in order for you to manipulate your data for the insight that will be used for decision making. So now, how to write SQL query statements to retrieve. How to write SQL query statement to retrieve all records, all record in a table, all record in a table. So here we are bringing in another SQL what? Keyword. So far, so good. I have explained not less than 3 what? SQL keyword. Create is one, database is another one, show is one, table use is another one. So as we are going, this is how you get to know this query statement. So we are bringing in the query, the SQL keyword, another SQL keyword. Let me use comment to explain it. Select. So that is the one we need now. Select. So how do we define select? Select is an SQL query command, which is used primarily to retrieve, to call out record from a table. So if I am to just describe it with one word, is for retrieving record. So whenever, because what we want to do right now is that Yes, we have displayed the list of table. Now we want to see the record inside the table. So that is why we will need select together with what? Other keyword that specify the location where the record should come from. So what is the syntax? So the syntax will now be select. Now, once you have written select in SQL, this asterisk means what? All. Remember that the instruction is to select all records. All records.
Yeah.
Good. So because of that, so we have to bring in the what? The asterisk, which means what? All. Then the location where the record is. So for that, to bring in another keyword called what? From. Select from, followed by the name of the table. So how do you know the name of the table? Because you just ran a code that outputted what? The list of tables in your database. So from here now, oh, the name of the table is sys. So that's the reason why it says you use single word to save your data, so that in case you are not seeing it the way I'm seeing this now, you can easily type it. So the name of the table is sys, and then always end your code with semicolon. That once you run it now, Control Enter, that is going to display what? The record. Unfortunately, the value were not imported. So you can see what, so with this now, we know that something went wrong. The values were not imported. So this outputted only the record. Sorry, only the fields. So I have to go to Excel and go and verify what is wrong with those values, why we did not import it. Or if I'm suspecting my query statement, I can as well use another logic. So just open up this, then navigate to this. This is the table. And then click on this icon. You can see that even this one could not display what? The value, which means that the error is not from here. So let me go back and resave the data. Let me open it here and save it. Something is wrong. I have the values here. Well, have you been able to load your own in?
I don't have that particular data, except I will load something else. But I wanted us to work together.
What about the what is it called? The Amazon data, because I'm going to load it. I have it, but let me try and rectify this. You should have the Amazon data now. Okay, let me go for the Amazon data and find out. I think I have the Amazon data, just for me to take time to look for it. Very sure that I have it. Okay, I know I have it. So let me open one of these. So I'll save it as CSV. Have you been able to find your, if not, let me send it to your WhatsApp. Okay, so let me load in the Amazon data. So I'll also make sure that I am in that same table. By looking at the selection, it shows that I'm still in what? The sales data. So I'll just
Send me the Amazon data, sorry.
okay. Go to import. Let me confirm it's working first. To desktop, Amazon. I'm surprised why it's showing it here. Maybe if I restart the app, the previous one might work. What do we have here? Okay, I think 100 record imported. So let me just confirm that. Okay, so we have record there. So let me send it to you. Going to take some time. I've not started my WhatsApp. Share your screen. Let me see what you are doing there.
I want to save it
Okay.
as sales. On CSV.
It's better to share your screen. That have
Okay,
you are still saving.
let me share it. It says that for me to share, I need to send the request to host.
Okay, check. I think I've enabled it.
Okay.
Coming. Security, the selection code.
The next
Let's
command could I select?
yes. So let's see the values in the data set. You have an error. The code you wrote is the name of the database. Meanwhile,
From
you
the
are supposed to select table in the database.
okay.
What is the name of the table? Okay, I think it's coming up. All right, perfect. All right. All right, so you can share your screen now. Let's proceed. Let's add one or two. All right, so let me display the values in the Amazon data we just added. But before that, let me check the total numbers of data table right now in the database using the same shield. So I've written the code somewhere. So I will just come back here and use this to run it only. So I have the two data sets listed. So I have Amazon. So now we are still in the sales data, and I want to view all the data values. So let me change the table name to Amazon. And then run it. So I have all the values. I have the values. Now, as usual, as data analysts, we normally understand, study our data before you start your analysis. So once you have executed this select command, then that gives you an opportunity to go through the header to know what the data entails. But I am still going to go back to do one or two things because I forgot to edit the header. I don't know if you have done yours. If you have not, so you have to go back and add underscore in between this. If not, you are going to have issue at times, depending on how sensitive the framework is. But to be on the safer side, let us quickly go there and do the needful. So let's say Amazon. I think I saved it on desktop just to open it in Excel and then modify those
Is
headers.
there a way you can change the table in this?
Yes, there's a way, but that is going to take time for now. At the level you are now, you don't want to go into that key. I don't want to mix up the classes. We use alter. There is a keyword called alter, but you will not be able to stand it now, the level you are now. Thought I have it so here, Amazon. Okay, let me check it from this activity. Okay, so you have to edit. So data cleaning is faster in Excel. So if the data is within what Excel can load, you can apply the option. But if it is not within what Excel can load, then you have to find out how to go about it in that particular tools or tool you are using. Make sure that you are equally changing your own so that in case I get to where I want to give you the task to perform, you're not taking a time. I think these are the only ones.
This one is the Amazon data, right?
Yes, yes. Let's work with the same data so that if you are getting different results, you will not be able to know where the error is coming from. So if it doesn't update automatically, you have to reload it. So let me see whether it has updated automatically. So it doesn't. So you have to load it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. So you right click on the table, then you select drop table. Remember, I've told you before that drop means delete in SQL. So I've deleted that table so I can reload it. Desktop. Amazon. Right. So let's me run the code. See if I'm still going to get. Okay, so I have the modified copy. Are we still together now? Have you gotten to where I am now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so just want us to be on the same
Just a
page.
little,
Okay,
I'm editing the headers.
all right.
The Amazon data is where you have a unit sold, all those things, right?
That's where you have total revenue, total cost, total profit, unit sold,
Yes, unit price. Okay.
ship dates. Let us quickly run another SQL selection command. Now, this particular one that we ran actually outputted all the records and the features, that is the columns in our data set. Now, let's assume that we are not interested in viewing all the record. We just want to call out some specific headers and their values, because this one says what? All, for certain reason. Let's assume, so that will take us to another selection technique in SQL. So I'm going to be using comment also. So here is how to select specific column or columns. Record or values in SQL database. So let's say from this particular table that we are seeing on the screen, we want to select only total profits and sales channel out. Probably these are the two columns that are involved for our analysis. So we want to just select them and look into them. So the task is select total profit and sales channel. Only. So the syntax will be select. The syntax will be select. You now mention the name of the columns. You now mention the name of the column. Select. You are not bringing the asterisk because you are not going for all. So the first one is sales channel. So sales. Make sure that you type it the way it is. Make sure that you follow the case sensitivity. I think this is a sales_channel. You see it's calculator, right? The comma, the next header is total profit. Total_profit. The P is in capital letter. Now, after that, you have to specify the location. Where are these two headers coming from? Which table? You bring in your SQL location finder statements.